Welcome back to another deep dive. Today we're plunging into something really quite remarkable. It's an AI-generated album of poetry that's been transformed into music. It's titled LU, which translates to Liquid Gold and Dandelions. AI-generated album from poetry. I mean, that sounds like a really wild blend. Where do we even start unpacking something this ambitious?
Well, yeah, it is ambitious. And I think our mission today is really to explore how this project weaves together some pretty diverse threads: ancient philosophy, cutting-edge tech, and just the profound power of art itself.
Okay.
It tells this incredible story of healing and renewal, and we think it offers a unique way to understand resilience.
Absolutely. And for this deep dive, we've pulled from excerpts of the album's accompanying article, its track listings, and of course the individual poem lyrics themselves.
Lots to work with.
Definitely. So settle in, because this isn't just about, an album. It's really about a poetic journey, a journey from fracture to renewal, and how this particular creation offers maybe unique lens for understanding our own resilience. Okay, so let's unpack this a bit. The guiding metaphor, as you mentioned, for liquid gold and dandelions is kintsugi. Now, if you've heard of kintsugi before, you probably know it's about repair, but it's not about hiding the breaks, right? There's this unexpected beauty to it.
Exactly. And what's fascinating here is that kintsugi, it's this historical Japanese technique for repairing broken ceramics. They use lacquer mixed with powdered gold or silver.
Right.
The name literally means golden joinery, which, I mean, that really nails what it's about. The core idea, the philosophy, is that it celebrates the break.
Celebrates it.
Yeah, celebrates it rather than hiding it. It transforms something that might just be discarded into something, well, more luminous, more unique. It sort of reframes damage as part of an object's history and identity, not some flaw you need to erase.
Okay, so it's not just fixing something.
Not at all. It's this radical redefinition of perfection and, applying this ancient philosophy to something as modern and, let's face it, ephemeral as AI-generated music. Well, what does that tell us about our current relationship with brokenness in this digital age?
That is a powerful question. So kintsugi isn't just about mending, it's about kind of celebrating the whole journey. How does an album like Liquid Gold and Dandelions actually manage to embody such a visual, such a tactile philosophy in its music, in its words?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, you can see the album's narrative arc. It moves very deliberately. It goes from fracture through stages like survival and emergence, eventually reaching release and renewal.
Ah, okay, so there's a structure.
Definitely. And
Yeah.
kintsugi functions as both, the core metaphor and a kind of musical motif throughout the whole thing. The cracks in the experience, the trauma, they're highlighted, they're gilded with this metaphorical gold. They're not erased. So this means the album isn't just about, getting over it. It's about the process of being reforged, becoming maybe stronger and more beautiful because of the experience, not despite it.
And the lyrics really seem to drive this home. I mean, for instance, in that title track, Liquid Gold, you hear lines like, "I'll keep my breaks and scars bonded, liquid gold tattooed. And when the scars begin to bleed, I'll try to think less of you. The golden place to remind me that I am free, that I have been renewed."
Powerful stuff.
Yeah. And other songs like With Gold and Beautifully Broken, they just seem to literalize this kintsugi idea, right?
Yeah.
Turning trauma into this aesthetic of resilience.
Exactly. And the album sequencing does this too, from the opening piano, which feels quite fragile,
Yeah.
to the final track, which is just a lone vocal. And then there's the recurrence of these gold sounds, even things like heartbeat motifs woven in. It all reinforces this idea
What idea exactly?
that repaired items, and by extension, repaired people, hold both memory and beauty at the same time. That's a pretty profound idea, isn't it?
It really shifts the perspective, yeah. So it feels like we're invited as listeners to see our own scars, not as something shameful to hide, but as, visible proof of survival.
Precisely.
It completely reframes how we might look at our own personal histories, our own difficult experiences. How might this reframing of damage apply to your own experiences? Allowing you to see your own history of healing in a new light.
And it's probably important to briefly touch on the ethics here, too, when borrowing cultural motifs like kintsugi.
Good point.
The source material, the article accompanying the album, it stresses the importance of crediting origins and, avoiding reductive appropriation, especially in public stuff, collaborations. And this album, it seems like it really goes out of its way to do that respectfully.
Okay, that's good to know. It's just incredible how kintsugi redefines damage in that way. But for an album focused on renewal, there's this other fascinating layer we mentioned, the role of AI.
Yeah.
How does that modern twist fit into this ancient philosophy?
Yeah, the AI part is crucial. So a tool called Music AI Gen was used. It basically transformed the original poems into musical lyrics and soundscapes.
Okay, so it took the words and made music?
Pretty much. But it wasn't just random. The AI made compositional choices, and it interpreted the prosody.
Prosody.
Yeah, prosody, that's like the rhythm, the meter, the natural feel of the words, how they contribute to the meaning and mood. So the AI interpreted that and the overall mood of the poems, matching them to a really specific prompt. Japanese indie ambient slowcore hybrid.
Wow. Japanese indie ambient slowcore hybrid. That is incredibly specific. So it sounds like the AI is definitely interpreting, not just like spitting out generic tunes. Is there a human guiding it, like a human in the loop kind of thing? What's the dynamic there?
That's a great question. And yes, absolutely. It's very much a human-in-the-loop approach. The AI assisted and interpreted. It didn't replace the original poetic voice.
Okay, that distinction feels important.
It is. And what's insightful here is how the AI isn't just a tool. It's almost like a catalyst. The benefits are pretty significant. AI expanded the creator's palette, It provided texture, these ambient layers, instrumentation options that might normally be really expensive or time-consuming.
Practical advantages.
Definitely. And it suggested some unexpected things, arrangements, sound design motifs like those heartbeat samples we mentioned, or even specific gold kintsugi textural effects in the sound. Things to really strengthen the album's cohesive narrative.
Can you give an example?
Sure, like that track, Little Yellow Flower,
Right.
the music prompt for the AI specified building an ambient folk electronic symphony. And it detailed specific instrument transitions meant to symbolize childhood innocence and quiet hope, leading into something more rhythmic, with acoustic and tuned percussion to reflect the dandelion's sort of primal spirit and regenerative power.
Wow. So very detailed instructions guiding the AI.
Exactly. And that whole genre, the ambient slowcore thing, it really lends itself to the album's themes, creating this immersive, reflective space for listeners.
That's truly fascinating. But, this combination of human creativity and AI interpretation, it definitely brings up those bigger conversations about AI ethics in music right now.
Oh, for sure.
Things like, where does the training data come from? And how transparent are creators being?
That's a vital point, and it touches on this really complex landscape of AI ethics. Things like biased training data or the potential for deepfakes, all that stuff. But this album seems to navigate that by being incredibly transparent.
How so?
Well, they make it really clear. The original poems are human work. The AI served as a supervised collaborator, producing complementary musical material under human guidance. And this approach, I think it sets a pretty high bar. It distinguishes it from projects that might, say, use AI to mimic existing artists without consent, or projects that aren't clear about their training data. They state it clearly in all their public info, which helps protect artistic integrity and, importantly, builds listener trust.
Right. Okay, so we've talked about the how, the kintsugi metaphor, the AI collaboration. Now let's maybe get into the why it matters, the impact, specifically the profound potential of this album's content for healing.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's actually substantial clinical and psychological evidence that supports this idea, that music and poetry can aid recovery from trauma.
Right, things like music therapy.
Exactly. Music therapy has shown benefits for mood, anxiety reduction, even helping with PTSD symptoms. And similarly, research on poetry, writing it, reading it, appreciating it shows measurable gains in psychological healing and emotional expression.
But why? Why do verse and sound move us so deeply? What are the actual mechanisms at play there?
Well, it's kind of a two-pronged thing. Poetry offers metaphors, this compressed imagery that can help listeners name and maybe contain really complex feelings. It provides a kind of safe distance through rhythm and line breaks.
Okay, so it helps process things cognitively.
Right. And then music, on the other hand, it can actually change our physiological responses, our heartbeat, our breathing. It helps induce this state of introspection, a place where we can really look inward. And those specific textures, ambient slowcore that were requested in the prompt, they really encourage that reflective mood, which aligns so well with healing practices.
So they work together.
Exactly. Together, they foster both that cognitive processing, the meaning-making, and what's called somatic regulation, basically helping our bodies calm down and process emotions through the physical experience of sound itself. And the album's specific narrative arc, going from fracture to repair, it offers this kind of guided passage for the listener.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
But it's also important, I think, to acknowledge the sensitive nature of some of the themes here, especially given the focus on trauma and healing. Hearing some of those lines quoted earlier, it really makes you pause. It's almost unsettling how accurately poetry can sometimes cut right to the core of an experience.
Precisely. And the source material, the article, it highlights that. It mentions practical listening notes and accessibility measures
Hmm.
for tracks like Predator and Footsteps and Heart Racing, which apparently contain really explicit themes of abuse and fear.
Wow.
Yeah, with lines like, "It doesn't matter how many years have passed, I can still feel you choke me. I can still feel your grasp." I mean, considerate content warnings are absolutely essential there.
Definitely.
And suggestions are provided for supportive listening. Things like, listen with a friend, use headphones, but make sure you're in a safe space. Or maybe pair it with journaling prompts.
Practical tips.
Yeah. And they also recommend companion materials like lyric booklets or maybe links to mental health resources to responsibly amplify the healing potential, not just throw people into difficult content unprepared.
Right, providing support. And the album structure itself, you mentioned, it's designed to guide the listener through this journey across 5 acts.
That's right, 5 distinct acts. Act I, Fracture, sort of lays the groundwork, the shattered beginnings. Then Act 2, Survival, focuses on learning to stand again. There's that track, A Warrior Inside of Me, with lines like, "There's a warrior inside of me, she gets me where I need to be, she slays dragons and fights monsters, all the horrific things that haunt her."
Okay, survival leading to emergence.
Exactly. Act 3, Emergence, is more about owning the scars. Tracks like, "Beautifully Broken. I am more beautiful for being broken. I am making myself whole again."
Bringing back the kintsugi idea.
Mm-hmm. Then Act 4, Love and Connection, explores opening the heart again, like in "It was automatic, you found me when my life was tragic." And finally, Act V, Release and Renewal, which has the sense of maybe planting seeds for others. It's embodied in "My words can be musical. My words can be musical."
Wow, so it really maps out a journey.
It does. It's not just about processing the pain, but literally finding the liquid gold in the processing, just like the kintsugi philosophy we talked about.
Yeah.
It brings that core metaphor full circle, really.
Yeah, it does. This whole deep dive into liquid gold and dandelions has really shown us this unique blend, hasn't it? Ancient metaphor with kintsugi, very modern tech with AI, and just the raw power of poetry and music.
It's quite something. And what's fascinating, I think, is how the album's design really braids these elements together. It creates this powerful narrative that hopefully can genuinely help listeners feel seen, feel held. It transforms the experience of damage into one of, well, growth and beauty. It really suggests that maybe when we embrace our brokenness, that's when true strength can emerge.
That's a really powerful takeaway. So as you reflect on this journey from fracture to renewal that the album portrays, maybe think about this. How might you identify and perhaps celebrate the liquid gold in your own experiences, allowing your beautifully broken parts, maybe, to tell their own story of strength and transformation?